You want a divorce? Perfect. Sign here. The words sliced through the graduation party chatter like a blade through silk. My husband Derek stood frozen, champagne glass halfway to his lips, as I slid the manila envelope across our daughter's celebration table at Romano's Italian Bistro in downtown Phoenix. 50 guests turned to stare, forks suspended mid-bite, conversations dying instantly. Derek's face drained of color. Mia, what are you? Doing exactly what you planned to do to me in 10 minutes, I said, my voice steady as granite. Except I'm 3 steps ahead. If you're ready for a story of calculated revenge that will leave you speechless, smash that like button right now, subscribe to Formidable Revenge channel, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The envelope contained divorce papers filed that morning, but Derek didn't know that yet. He thought he was about to blindside me with his carefully rehearsed speech about needing space and growing in different directions. The same speech he'd practiced with his 28-year-old paralegal Brielle in our bedroom 3 days ago while I supposedly worked late. You can't be serious, Derek whispered, his trademark confidence cracking like cheap veneer. Our daughter Sophia looked between us, her graduation cap sliding askew. Mom? Dad? What's happening? I'd spent 26 years building Derek's dental practice while sacrificing my own dreams of opening a women's wellness center. 26 years of managing his finances, covering his gambling debts, and playing the perfect dentist's wife at every charity gala and golf tournament. I'd funded his medical school with my inheritance, supported him through 2 failed business ventures, and never once complained when he blamed his failures on everyone but himself. The guests stirred restlessly. Derek's parents exchanged horrified glances. My sister Patricia raised her phone, probably texting the family group chat that had exploded with gossip ever since Derek started working late 3 nights a week. Open it, I said softly. Derek's hands trembled as he broke the seal. His eyes widened as he scanned the legal documents. Then came the second page, bank statements showing every secret withdrawal, every cash advance, every mysterious charge to jewelry stores and luxury hotels. How did you, he started. I've been your accountant for 2 decades, Derek. Did you really think I wouldn't notice $47,000 missing from our retirement fund? The room fell dead silent. Sophia gasped. Derek's mother dropped her wine glass, red Cabernet spreading across the white tablecloth like blood. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. The third page shows your new condo lease with Brielle Morrison, signed last Tuesday. The fourth page is a credit report for your secret business account. And the fifth. I paused, savoring the moment, is your signed confession. Derek went rigid. What confession? I smiled, cold and sharp. The one you gave me last night when you thought I was asleep. Amazing what people will admit when they're talking to themselves in the shower about finally being free of their boring wife. His face turned ashen. The recording device in my purse was still running. The devastation hit me in waves as I watched Derek's world begin to crumble. This wasn't just about the affair, it was about systematic theft, emotional manipulation, and 26 years of lies wrapped in false devotion. I discovered his betrayal 6 weeks ago during a routine review of our quarterly taxes. A second mortgage on our Scottsdale home that I'd never signed. Credit cards in both our names maxed out on purchases I'd never seen. A pattern of financial abuse stretching back 3 years, carefully hidden while he convinced me we needed to tighten our belts for Sophia's college tuition. The cruelest part? I'd been working 60-hour weeks at the accounting firm to cover expenses, while Derek spent our savings on his secret life. I'd postponed my wellness center dreams, canceled vacation plans, and eaten ramen for lunch so Sophia could have her graduation party at the nicest restaurant in Phoenix. Mia, please, Derek whispered, leaning across the table. Can we discuss this privately? Like you discussed buying that Range Rover with Brielle privately? Or planning your European vacation privately? I kept my voice conversational, but every word was calculated to cut. Our marriage ended the moment you chose to steal from your own family. Sophia stood abruptly, tears streaming down her face. Dad, is this true? Derek couldn't meet her eyes. That told her everything. The weight of his betrayal pressed against my chest like a stone. This man had held my hand through my father's death, promised to honor our wedding vows, and sworn he'd never become like his own cheating father. He'd looked me in the eye every morning for 3 years while systematically destroying the financial security I'd spent decades building. But Derek had made a fatal mistake. He'd underestimated the woman who'd balanced his books, managed his investments, and knew every financial law in Arizona. The woman who'd spent 6 weeks documenting every crime, consulting 3 attorneys, and building a case so airtight that his only choice would be complete surrender. His screams hadn't even started yet. I reached into my purse and pulled out a second envelope, this one sealed with red wax. Derek's eyes fixed on it like a rabbit watching a snake. "What's that one?" he asked, his voice barely audible. I smiled. "Your real problem." The second envelope contained copies of emails Derek thought he'd permanently deleted. Communications with his practice's equipment suppliers about selling costly dental machinery and pocketing the proceeds. Messages to pharmaceutical reps about insurance fraud schemes. Most damaging of all, his correspondence with a malpractice attorney about hiding assets before an upcoming lawsuit. "You've been selling equipment from your own practice," I announced loud enough for the entire restaurant to hear. "Then filing false insurance claims to replace it. All while your patients trusted you with their health." Derek lunged forward, grabbing for the papers. "You can't, those are confidential." "Nothing's confidential in a divorce proceeding, sweetheart." I held the documents just out of reach. Especially when it involves potential federal fraud charges. The guests erupted in shocked murmurs. Derek's dental partner, Dr. James Morrison, Brielle's father, stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. His face had gone purple with rage. "You son of a bitch," James snarled. "You've been stealing from our practice?" Derek spun around, panic replacing arrogance. "James, let me explain." "Explain what?" "How you've been embezzling while I worked double shifts covering for your fake emergencies." James pulled out his phone. "I'm calling the state dental board right now." But I held up a hand. "Actually, Dr. Morrison, I already called them. And the IRS. And the FBI's Financial Crimes Division." The room went dead silent except for the soft jazz playing over the speakers. Derek's face cycled through disbelief, terror, and finally, burning hatred as he realized the scope of his exposure. "You vindictive witch," he hissed. "You've destroyed everything." "You destroyed everything," I corrected. "I just documented it." Sophia wiped her tears and looked at her father with disgust. "Mom worked herself sick to pay for this party while you were stealing from sick people?" Derek tried to reach for our daughter, but she stepped back. The rejection hit him like a physical blow. "Sweetheart, you don't understand the pressure I was under." "The pressure of maintaining 2 households?" I interrupted. "The pressure of keeping up with Brielle's expensive tastes? Or the pressure of covering up insurance fraud?" Derek's phone buzzed. Then again. Then continuously as news of his financial crimes spread through Phoenix's tight-knit professional community. His practice was finished. His dental license would be revoked. His freedom was in jeopardy. But the beautiful part? He still had no idea about the third envelope. I placed it on the table between us, and Derek stared at it like it might explode. "Open it," I said softly. His hands shook as he broke the seal. Inside were photographs. Derek and Brielle entering the Ritz-Carlton. Derek kissing her in the parking lot of his practice. Derek signing papers at a real estate office. But the final photo made him gasp, a shot of him meeting with a divorce attorney 2 months ago, clearly planning his exit strategy long before today. "How?" he whispered. I smiled. Your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend is a private investigator. Turns out Brielle's been playing both of you. Derek's phone rang. Brielle's name flashed on the screen. Answer it, I commanded. Put it on speaker. Derek. Brielle's voice was breathless, panicked. The FBI just raided your practice. They're looking for financial records. What did you do? Every eye in the restaurant fixed on Derek's phone. He looked like a cornered animal. There's been a misunderstanding, he stammered. Misunderstanding. Brielle's voice rose to a shriek. They have photos of us together. They know about the condo. My dad says you've been stealing from the practice for years. Derek shot a venomous look at me. I shrugged innocently. Brielle, calm down. We can figure this out. Figure this out? Derek, I'm 28 years old. I'm not going to prison for your midlife crisis. The line went dead. The restaurant remained silent except for the soft clink of ice in abandoned drinks. Derek's entire support system was collapsing in real time. His phone buzzed with a text message. Then another. Then a flood of notifications as news spread through social media. Screenshots of his mugshot from a previous DUI arrest, one I'd carefully leaked to local news outlets an hour ago. Headlines about the fraudulent Phoenix dentist were already trending. You planned this, Derek said, his voice hollow. All of it. For 6 weeks, I confirmed. Every detail. Every contingency. Every escape route you might try. Derek's brother Marcus stepped forward. Derek, maybe you should call a lawyer. He already tried, I said pleasantly. I called every criminal defense attorney in Phoenix this morning. Conflicted them all out by scheduling consultations. Derek's face went white. That's illegal. Actually, it's perfectly legal. I paid their consultation fees. They can't represent you now due to conflict of interest. I smiled. You'll have to find representation in Tucson. Or maybe Los Angeles. The trap was closing from all sides. Derek had no girlfriend, no practice partner, no family support, no legal representation, and no money. His accounts were already frozen pending the federal investigation. But he still didn't know about the final phase. I pulled out my phone and opened a video file. This is security footage from the Ritz-Carlton parking garage, showing you and Brielle discussing how to hide assets from your crazy wife during divorce proceedings. It's already been forwarded to the federal prosecutor. Derek grabbed his chest, genuinely struggling to breathe. You're giving me a heart attack. You should have thought about your health before you decided to commit multiple felonies, I replied calmly. Sophia looked at me with something approaching awe. Mom, how did you know about all of this? Because I know your father better than he knows himself. He's been running the same pattern for 26 years. Lie, steal, blame others, then run away when consequences arrive. Derek's phone buzzed again. This time it was his elderly mother calling. Answer it, I said. Let her hear your voice before you disappear. Derek declined the call, but it was too late. I'd already sent his mother copies of everything, the affair evidence, the financial crimes documentation, even the recording of him calling her a nagging old bat during one of his conversations with Brielle. She's not taking your calls anymore, I informed him. Neither is your brother. Or your sister. I made sure they all knew exactly who you really are. Derek's isolation was complete. Every bridge burned, every relationship poisoned, every refuge closed. But the cruelest revelation was yet to come. Derek, I said softly, do you remember our conversation about Sophia's trust fund last Christmas? His eyes widened in horror. No, you didn't. The college fund you convinced me to let you manage more effectively? The one worth $180,000. I pulled out a final sheet of paper. Guess where that money really went? The document showed wire transfers from Sophia's education account to Derek's secret business ventures. Money intended for our daughter's future, gambled away on failed investments and luxury purchases for his girlfriend. Sophia read the paper over my shoulder. Her face went rigid with betrayal that cut deeper than any marital infidelity. "You stole my college money," she whispered. Derek couldn't speak. The weight of his daughter's disappointment crushed something inside him that all my other revelations hadn't touched. "I was going to pay it back," he finally managed. "With what money?" Sophia's voice was ice cold. She'd inherited my pragmatism along with his charm. "You lost everything on cryptocurrency and sports betting. You have nothing left." The restaurant's other patrons were openly staring now, some recording on their phones. Derek's humiliation was becoming a viral spectacle. "Please," he begged, looking around the room desperately. Can we go somewhere private?" "You wanted a public venue," I reminded him. "You specifically chose Sophia's graduation party because you thought I wouldn't make a scene. You counted on my dignity to protect you from consequences." Derek's perfectly planned ambush had become his own execution. Every weapon he'd intended to use against me had been turned around and aimed at his heart. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. I stood up slowly, commanding the attention of every person in Romano's Italian bistro. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced clearly, "I'd like to share one final truth about my soon-to-be ex-husband." Derek's eyes went wide with terror. "Mia, don't." Derek Vaughn has been running this same con for his entire adult life. I pulled out a thick folder I'd kept hidden until this moment. Inside were documents that would destroy not just Derek's present, but his entire carefully constructed past. His first wife, Rebecca, in Denver. She divorced him for financial abuse and fraud. His second wife, Carmen, in Seattle. Same pattern, emotional manipulation, hidden debts, mysterious disappearances of family money. I spread the papers across the table like tarot cards, revealing an ugly future. Derek went completely still. "How could you possibly know?" "Because Rebecca called me 3 years ago. She'd been trying to warn your subsequent wives for decades. Carmen reached out last year. You have a pattern, Derek. You find financially successful women, love bomb them into marriage, systematically drain their resources, then disappear when the bills come due." The restaurant felt like a courtroom now. Derek was on trial, and every piece of evidence damned him further. Except this time, you got greedy. You decided to steal from Patience, from your business partner, from your own daughter. I looked around the room. Derek Vaughn isn't just a cheating husband. He's a serial financial predator. Derek's face had gone gray. His breathing was shallow, panicked. The man who'd commanded every room with his confident smile looked small and broken. "The IRS investigation will uncover at least 7 years of tax fraud. The State Dental Board will revoke your license permanently. The FBI will recommend federal charges for wire fraud and money laundering." I ticked off each consequence on my fingers. "You'll be disbarred from practicing dentistry anywhere in the United States." Sophia stood up abruptly. "I can't listen to any more of this." For a moment, I thought I'd pushed too hard, revealed too much. My daughter's opinion mattered more than Derek's destruction. But then Sophia turned to her father with a look of pure disgust. "You're not my dad anymore," she said quietly. "My dad wouldn't steal from children to impress his girlfriend." Derek reached for her desperately. "Sophia, please." She stepped back. "Don't touch me. And don't ever contact me again." The finality in her voice broke something in Derek that all my financial warfare couldn't reach. He collapsed into his chair, sobbing openly in front of 50 horrified witnesses. But even in my moment of complete victory, I felt a strange emptiness. 26 years of my life had been built on loving a lie. My daughter would grow up knowing her father was a criminal. The collateral damage of Derek's choices would ripple through generations. Was justice worth this much devastation? Derek looked up at me through his tears. I loved you, Mia. I really did. No, I replied softly. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. Derek's phone buzzed one final time. He looked at the screen and his face went completely white. Brielle? I asked innocently. He nodded, unable to speak. What does she say? Derek's voice was barely a whisper. She's posting our private messages online. Everything we said about you, about the money, about our plans. He looked up at me with something approaching admiration. You orchestrated this entire thing. I gave everyone exactly what they deserved, I corrected. You chose to be a criminal. Brielle chose to be complicit. Your patients chose to trust you. I simply connected the dots. The beautiful truth was that I hadn't orchestrated Derek's destruction. I'd simply removed the barriers that kept his natural consequences at bay. Like pulling away flood barriers and letting the river reclaim its natural path. What happens now? Derek asked. Now you face the results of 26 years of choices, I said. Federal investigation, criminal charges, civil lawsuits from every patient whose trust you violated. Derek looked around the restaurant one last time. And you? What do you get out of this? I smiled, and for the first time in hours, it was genuinely warm. Everything you tried to steal from me. The house, the retirement accounts, the business. But most importantly, I paused, gathering my purse and the manila folders that had ended his world. I get to find out who I am when I'm not cleaning up your messes. Sophia appeared beside me, her graduation cap straight and her chin high. I'm ready to go, Mom. Derek started to say something, but Sophia held up a hand. Goodbye, Derek, she said formally. I hope prison teaches you something about consequences. The cruelty in her voice was all mine. She'd learned to weaponize disappointment the same way I had. As we walked toward the exit, Derek called out desperately. Mia, what am I supposed to do now? I turned back one final time. Figure it out yourself. For the first time in your adult life, you don't have a woman to solve your problems. The restaurant door closed behind us, cutting off the sound of Derek's world ending. Outside, Phoenix's desert heat felt like freedom. Sophia linked her arm through mine. Mom, she said quietly, that was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Good, terrifying, or bad terrifying? She considered for a moment. Both. But mostly good. 3 months later, I received a collect call from Maricopa County Jail. You won. Derek's voice was hollow, defeated. Are you satisfied? I was in my new office, Mia Vaughn Financial Recovery Services, specializing in helping women rebuild after financial abuse. Business was booming. I'm content, I said carefully. Are you calling to apologize? Would it matter if I did? Probably not. Derek was silent for a long moment. Brielle testified against me. She got immunity in exchange for cooperation. Smart girl. She never loved me, did she? She was using me the whole time. I laughed, surprising myself. Derek, you were using her too. You were both predators who found each other. I really did love you, Mia. At the beginning. Maybe. But love isn't enough when it comes with theft and betrayal. Another pause. Sophia won't accept my calls. Can you blame her? I know I can't make this right. But is there any chance we could try again? After I serve my sentence? The question hung between us like smoke. Derek Vaughn, asking for a fourth chance after destroying everything he'd ever touched. Derek, I said gently, I'm engaged. The silence that followed was deafening. To whom? Dr. Morrison. James. The irony was poetic. I'd fallen in love with Brielle's father while helping him rebuild his dental practice after Derek's betrayal. James was everything Derek had pretended to be: honest, loyal, financially responsible. James Morrison? My former partner. Your former victim, I corrected. He's a good man who treats me like an equal partner instead of a resource to be exploited. Derek's breathing became labored. You planned this too. I didn't plan to fall in love. But I did plan to never again accept less than I deserve. God, Mia. You really did destroy everything. You destroyed everything, I said for the final time. I just refused to go down with your ship. I hung up without saying goodbye. 6 months later, Derek was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for wire fraud, tax evasion, and money laundering. He'd lost his dental license, his house, his cars, and every relationship that had ever mattered to him. But the most brutal justice was the simplest. He'd lost the woman who had loved him unconditionally for 26 years. The woman who would never again answer his calls, clean up his messes, or believe his promises. He'd gambled everything on one betrayal too many, and lost it all. 2 years after Derek's sentencing, Sophia graduated from Arizona State University with a degree in forensic accounting, inspired, she said, by watching me dismantle her father's financial crimes. I want to help other women the way you helped yourself, she told me at her graduation party. This time, the celebration was at my home, the sprawling Scottsdale house Derek had tried to steal, now legally mine forever. James and I had married 6 months earlier in a small ceremony at the courthouse. No drama, no elaborate reception, just 2 people who'd learned to appreciate honest love after surviving betrayal. Any regrets? James asked me as we watched Sophia dance with her boyfriend, a pre-med student who treated her with genuine respect. I considered the question seriously. Derek's destruction had been complete, his reputation, his career, his family relationships, all obliterated by consequences he'd spent decades avoiding. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, I admitted. If I could have handled it differently. You could have handled it quietly, James agreed. Let him divorce you, take half your assets, and disappear with Brielle to start over somewhere else. And let him victimize other women? Let him steal from other patients? Let him teach Sophia that betrayal doesn't have consequences. James pulled me closer. You didn't destroy Derek Vaughn. You revealed him. Derek called from prison occasionally, always collect, always desperate. I never accepted the charges. That chapter of my life was closed, sealed, and filed away like evidence in a solved case. My financial recovery business had grown into a statewide practice. I employed 6 women who helped abuse survivors navigate divorce proceedings, asset recovery, and financial independence. We'd saved millions of dollars from predatory ex-husbands, and our success rate was legendary. The irony wasn't lost on me. Derek's betrayal had led to my true calling. His cruelty had created my compassion. His weakness had revealed my strength. But late at night, when the house was quiet and James was sleeping peacefully beside me, I sometimes remember the early years with Derek. The genuine laughter, the shared dreams, the moments of real connection before greed and entitlement poisoned everything. That young woman who'd married Derek Vaughn had been naive, but not wrong to believe in love. She'd simply chosen to love someone incapable of returning the gift. The woman I'd become was wiser, stronger, and infinitely more careful with her heart. But she was also harder, more calculating, quicker to suspect deception. Justice had been served completely, but innocence, once lost, never returns. Derek Vaughn got exactly what he deserved. The question that haunted me was whether I'd become someone I could live with in the process. The answer most days was yes. And on the difficult days, I remembered Sophia's proud smile when she told people her mother was a woman who refused to be a victim. That was legacy enough. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from, and let me know, do you think Mia went too far, or was Derek's destruction exactly what he deserved? Subscribe to Formidable Revenge channel for more stories of calculated justice. And remember, sometimes the most devastating revenge is simply letting someone face the consequences of their own choices.